Hello and welcome to another tutorial from Software How-Tos. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use a program called LeoCAD. LeoCAD is a CAD software that uses pre-made Lego bricks to create Lego models. Let's start by opening up LeoCAD. Let's go full screen on LeoCAD here. Alright, this is LeoCAD. You can see the different windows over here which you can move, make it smaller if you want to see more of your model, or make it bigger if you want to find parts more easily. Now, I'm going to start by explaining the part over here, and then I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to show the taskbar. So let's start with the bricks. These are just all the different bricks. See right here, we're in the bricks category. There's also many other parts. Let's just stay in the bricks. There's all parts, and you can search within each category, including all parts if you want to search all parts. So if I wanted to go to all parts, wait for it to load all the parts, and search brick. I could also find bricks that way, and you can see all the different bricks from all the different categories. So let's start by showing you how to actually add a part onto our wonderful, transparent, non-existent, invisible base plate. You can either click on it and drag to add, or you can select it and click the insert button over here, and then it's connected to your mouse. All you have to do is left click and boom, you've got your part here. So there's the different axis arrows which enable you to move the object around in all the different axes. There's also these rotate buttons here which enables you to rotate the object. Later in this video I'll show you how to enable and disable the snapping. So you see my object snaps every 1/2 stud. Show you how to change that later. Alright, so that is the part section. Down here you can see all the colors. You can see different colors. And you notice I'm selected on this object, but when I change the color it doesn't change the color of the object. So we have to move to the Properties tab. Now it shows the properties. You can change the position XYZ and rotation XYZ, the visibility also, but the most easiest thing to use here is the appearance, the color. So this is how you change the color of any object, not down here which you would think, but you have to actually go to the properties of the object and then click the color, then open up a different color menu, and then you can change the color. I'm going to leave it at red because red is much better. Another way to change the color would be to use this paint bucket tool. You can select on what color you want to change it to, say green, click on the paint bucket, and click on the object, and now it's green. It's selected so you can't see that's green, it looks like a weird color. It's actually green. So that's another way of changing the color. I'll show you the timeline later. Alright, so let's add some more parts in here. And let's change their colors. Let's make this one blue, this one gray, and make this one weird tan color. Alright, so now we have 4 shapes, or bricks here, and a slope. Let's add one other and change that color to green to match with that one. Let's go back to our selection tool. So now we have objects in here. So the first tools I'm going to show you are lights. You can add lights in LeoCAD, or you can just use the default lights that it already sets up, which I'm using right now. So to add a light, you just click on it, and you click where you want to add a light, and you got a little light. Let me delete that. Or there's a spotlight. You click and drag. One thing to note is that spotlights have 2 different parts. There's this part, so if you try to think this will move the spotlight, it just changes where the spotlight is positioned. And if you try to move the spotlight from here, it'll also change where the spotlight is positioned from the back. So if you want to select all the spotlight, you can box select all the parts, and that moves the entire spotlight. Let me delete that because I do not want a stoplight. I mean a light in my viewport over here. So now let's show the camera. Cameras are extremely helpful, something that they did not have in LEGO Digital Designer. So I have a camera here. I'm going to move this guy down. Now it's facing down. Same thing with the spotlight, except this has 3 different parts. Alright, so now we can see what the camera's looking at. To look in the camera, you can press C, which, if you press C, and you just downloaded LeoCAD and opened it, it's not going to work because you have to set up the shortcuts, which I'll show you to do in a minute. So you press C, and this is where the camera's viewing. You can adjust where the camera views from in here by using your mouse. And you see up here it says camera 1, you can add multiple cameras, and it'll say camera 2, camera 3, etc. And cameras are very helpful if you want to keep where you're looking in a certain place, and then if you want to view somewhere else, you can either do F for front, or you can just use these right here to move around. And then you can adjust everything, go back to your camera, and maybe take a picture if you want to do stop motion. Let's just go back here, outside of our camera. And next tool up is the basic selection tool, which I've been using. That's also the move tool, which I select on an object here and use the move tool. I can just move it around like that, or another way to do that is you go on the select tool, and you see this little yellow box right there? You can just click on that and drag, and that's another way of using the move tool. So you can see the move tool icon right there. It automatically switched from the cursor to the move tool. So next is the rotate tool, which is just a shortcut for these little arrows there. When you're on the rotate tool, it's a bunch of different axes you can rotate across, or you can just use the main cursor and just use those helpful little arrows. Next is delete tool, which I find very fun. Bye, goodbye, go away, goodbye. Now I'm just going to Control Z that because I actually want my shapes. If you're on a Mac, remember it's Command, not Control. Next is the paint bucket tool, which I already showed you. And this is another zoom tool, which I can just use my scroll wheel on my mouse or 2 fingers on the touchpad if your computer supports that. Next up is the pan tool. Now I'll show you the shortcuts in a minute, but my shortcuts I created so that if you push down the middle mouse button on my mouse, then I can pan. But you can also just use this tool and you just use the left mouse button on your mouse or on your computer, and then you can pan. But say if I were on the main selection tool, I can just use my middle mouse button to pan, and I find that a bit easier. The shortcuts are very helpful. Next is the rotate view tool. This is just another tool for rotating the view, which you can also use this sphere here to click on where you want to view, which is helpful, but I just like to use the mouse. There's also the roll, just rolling it. It's another way to move. And there's also another zoom tool, which is zooming the region this time instead of just zoom, plain old zoom. Let's go back to the main selection tool, and let's look at these tools up here. First, there's a new model, just creating a new model right here, shortcut, or you can just use file. And you might want to save your model before you create a new one, just heads up there. And you can open a previous model that you've already created. By the way, just in case you are interested, the file extension for LeoCAD models is .ldr, and you can just open any .ldr file on your computer and open the model into LeoCAD. You can also export the model as various different 3D object types, as I'll show in a minute. So this is the save model, or you can just use Control S if you like using shortcuts, which is 1,000 times easier. And then there's undo, which is Control Z, redo, which is Control Y, or Command if you're using a Mac. And then there's selection tools. So that's why I did the different colors and the variety of pieces, because this is just single selection. You just select one. If you wanted to select multiple, you would hold Control, select another one. If you want to undo that multiple selection, you can hold Shift. You see the little minus. That undoes that, and you just select it on that. But if you want to select a whole ton of parts and multiple things, then you can use this select tool up here, which you can select by piece. So I selected both of these pieces because they're the same type of piece. Or you can select by color. I'm sure I'm on that. And I'll select both the colors of green. Or you can select by piece and color. Next is the relative transforms tool, which you can turn that off if you want. And now the snapping I was talking about, movement snap. This is movement snap, this is rotation snap. So for movement snap right now, I usually use 1/2 stud unless I'm trying to be super precise. But you can move it on a whole stud. I'll show this here. That's for the snapping for the X and the Y. If you want to snap for the Z, you just change this here. Change that to 1 stud. Make sure that's on. And now this brick here moves every one stud, like as if you were building an actual Lego model. But if you want to turn that off entirely, you can just click that, and there's no snap whatsoever. You can be super precise, as precise as you want. Same goes with the rotation, except it snaps by degrees, not by axis, or by studs. And so if you want to rotate, that's a big snap. So we can change that up and just go, let's say, 5 degrees. Now there's barely any snap at all. Or, if you want to be super precise, you can just turn that off entirely and no snapping whatsoever. So that's the snap options there. It's very helpful. I'll just leave that on default for adjusting your model, the parts, and moving them either on the studs or off or half studs, or leaving it off for complete precision. But those tools up there are definitely necessary and very helpful. Next are these step tools. So say for example this is my first step and I wanted to create building instructions for the model I was creating. I can click next, and now that creates a new step. And so now I can add this brick, say that's the second step. Now I can add a third step. Add this is the third step that looks like a wacky model. Next, you can add another one of those. And these are my steps. If you want to view a previous step, you can click this, and here's the previous steps. Or you can go all the way to the last step, or all the way to the first step. And those are the step tools. Alright, now that I've added steps, I'm going to show you the timeline tab over here. Now it shows step 1, 2, 3, and 4 all over here, easy for you to see. It shows the brick type, the part type with letters, and it also shows the color with a little circle with the color filled in the middle. So this is helpful. You can minimize them if you have so many steps you only want to view a few. This is helpful for just seeing your steps laid out all at once, or you can just view them by using these keys here. Let's move back to parts. Alright, now the taskbar. The taskbar is basically just shortcuts for all of these buttons up here, but there's also some new things in here. So file, you can create new, open, or you can merge, save as, save image. You can import from Lego Digital Designer, or you can export a model. So if you wanted to create a model and export it and put it in, say, an animation engine like Blender, then you can export it as CAD is my favorite because it saves the color, or you can save it as 3D Studio or BlickLink or CSV or HTML or several other ones. So that's exporting as a 3D model file, not actually saving the project. If you want to save the project, you could just click save, and you'll actually save the project somewhere on your computer, and it'll be a .ldr, not those other file extensions for the actual 3D model. So that's file, where you can exit, which is also this little helpful X over there. Alright, so edit. Let me click on a part here. Okay, so you can, these are the undo and redo buttons, and then cut, copy, and paste. These are the shortcuts, Control X, Command X, all those shortcuts we should know. And then other options here, or these are the select options. It's the selection mode right here, which I already showed you. It's up here, these buttons. And there's the tools. All the different tools, which you can click on them from here, or you can click on them from here, which is, I find, a bit easier. So now the View tab. There's the View Preferences, and these show all the preferences. Alright, so now, this is very helpful, so pay attention here. These are just the general preferences. You can look through those. Those are just customizing LeoCAD for your use. This is the rendering preferences, which I'll show you the rendering option in a minute. There's the categories, which show all the different categories, and then all the parts. You can import categories. Alright, so these are the shortcuts for the keyboard. So in order to add shortcuts, you click on, say, something here, and you type the key sequence by pressing a key, and you click assign, or you can remove it. I'll show you how to do that with a mouse. But these are just the default ones, which, you know, Control N for new, Control O for open, Control S for save. And this one I added. You see it's bold and italicized, so you know that you added it, and that's not the default one that LeoCAD came with. So this is for save image. I save images a lot if I was using LeoCAD for stop motion. We'll also show how to do that in a different video. So I use the return key for that. So I'll remove that and show you how to add that. So you click on save image, you click in here, key sequence, you press the enter key, or the return key, and it says return, and you can click assign. and now it shows return. So to save an image, you just click return. So if I were to say OK, and I press enter, and that opens the save image dialog, which you can also access from here, or return. It shows a shortcut here. You click save image, and then you can just click here where on your computer you want to save it, and you can change the dimensions, current step, all steps, or a custom range of steps. Alright, let's go back to preferences. Those are the preferences for the keyboard, and now preferences for the mouse. Let me show you how to add the preference of the panning with the middle mouse button. Alright, so here's pan. So there's two options for shortcuts here. There's only one for keyboard. So there's shortcut 1 is middle button for the mouse, and then alt middle button is a second option, which alt is just, I'd rather use the middle button instead of having the old alt at the same time. So let me remove that. Let me show you how to do that. Default, it has alt middle button, right? So you want to add another one. So you click middle, it's already on middle, right? And then we don't want alt or shift, and then we can just, this is the mouse sensitivity. You can also change the sensitivity. I'll just leave that at default because that's the best. Click sign, and now it's just got middle button. So if I were to click OK, I just can use my middle button to pan while I'm still on the main cursor instead of having to click on the pan button and then using my right mouse button to pan. It just makes everything a lot easier. Okay, so now before I go on to these other toolbar options, I'm just going to show you how to render. So you click here and click render. Alright, so now this blank white area here is where it's going to show your image being created. So you can change the quality up. Keep in mind that rendering is not the same as taking an image. Taking an image is a lot less quality, and you can change it, save the image as a PNG. With rendering, it just renders it as with a white background, and it makes it look as if it's a real Lego model. So if you want to create a picture of the model you made and you want to make it look real, then you should render it. So you can change the dimensions, the width and the height, and change the quality, and then you can change the output, and you click render, and it'll slowly start rendering your image, which usually takes a while. And this is the loading bar right here. But I do not want to do that, so let's close that out. Let's cancel the current render. Alright, next up on the taskbar, we did preferences for view. Now there's all these other things here. There's viewpoints, the front, back, left, right, top, button, home. These are all the shortcuts. You can FBLRTOH for all the different. So say if I want to do the front, I press F. I already showed you that. It shows the front. Say I want to do top, I press T. And front again. So those are more shortcuts for just viewing around. And then there's the cameras. There's camera 1 that I already created. You can see that here. You can click on that, and you're in camera 1. And then if you want to go out of camera 1, you just click none, and you're out of camera 1. And you can see camera 1 right there, just disappeared. Also, there's projection, sorry. It's perspective, or you can change it to orthographic, which is just a little bit creepy, which is why it's much easier to build in a world that is similar to the one you're living in right now. Perspective. If you live in an orthographic world, that would be interesting. Also, you can change the shading. These are the default lights I was talking about in LeoCAD. They just make it look pretty easy to build with. Or if you really want to have a hard time, flat. You can't see the studs, it's just all flat, no lights at all. Or if you really want to have a hard time, you can change everything to wireframe, and now they all look like sketches. It's actually kind of cool though. Let's leave that on the default lights just for non-confusion. And these are all the steps. You can insert and remove steps from here, which is shortcuts for that over there. You can remove a view or reset views, and then you can click full screen, which is just a shortcut for clicking the full screen button. You can go super full screen, or you can get out of full screen and then click this full screen button, which just makes the window full screen. It doesn't make it entirely full screen. And there's toolbars. These are all on because I use all of them, but you can click on one and uncheck it, and then it'll disappear, like say parts. Boom. We don't need parts because we're not building anything, and they're gone. Just put that back on. Next is piece. let me select on a piece. I like the green one. So you can insert a piece, delete, duplicate, array, the Minifig Wizard, which I'll show this. You can create any minifigure with this you want and save it, which is nice. You just use these drop-down menus here to change the top, whatever the colors are right here, and then you can also adjust position. And you can create a minifigure, and then you can save it and name it. And then I'll overwrite it. And then you can also delete it, and you can view all your recent created ones, like weird person or person. And then you select whichever one you want, create your minifig, and click OK, and then automatically add your minifigure to your invisible faceplate. Let's delete you because I don't want you there. Go back to parts. Minifig Wizard is very, very helpful because in the previous version of LeoCAD they didn't have that, and you had to drag minifigure parts from the parts section over here in one of the minifig categories, and then manually drag the parts onto the torso on the pants, and the head on the torso, and the hat or hair on the head, and add a weapon into the hands. It was just really, really annoying. So the Minifig Wizard is nice. It's very helpful. Let me select back on my wonderful green brick here. And let's explore the rest of these. It's the Minifig Wizard, reset the pivot point, keyframes. Okay, so you can move to a new model and the groups. You can edit the groups, you can group parts, and then you can hide the selected parts or hide the unselected parts. Control H is for hide selected, another shortcut. And grouping, you can edit groups. Select on 2, Control to select 2, and then Control G for group. You can name the group. Okay. And then now they're grouped, or Control U for ungroup, and now they're not grouped anymore. Actually, they are. So I do Control U, and they're not grouped anymore. And that is it for the piece area. Now submodel. You can create submodels in LeoCAD. I won't go into that. And then there's the help menu. So that was a basic overview of LeoCAD. LeoCAD is very helpful and is, I think, much better than LDD, Lego Digital Designer, which was created by Lego. But, I mean, Lego Digital Designer is at the end of its support anyway now, so LDD is probably the best option if you want to create more 3D models using Lego bricks. It offers a whole lot more flexibility than LDD, because in LDD, the parts just snap onto the studs as if you're building an actual Lego model, whereas this is more like a traditional CAD program where you can move the parts around as precise as you want or actually snap it to the studs. So that's it for this tutorial on LeoCAD. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and please do not forget to subscribe and like. Have fun using LeoCAD.